The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election and the opposition leader in Nigeria, Mr. Peter Obi, has come under intense attack for exposing the leadership rot in Nigeria. Now, this attack was coming from all angles, but among the significant attack was a PDP chieftain, Segun Sowunmi. Now, let us look at what Mr. Peter Obi said that brought this intense attack against his person. Now, he took to his Twitter account to say, "Yesterday at Johns Hopkins University, USA, I honored the invitation to speak on politics and change in Nigeria from Professor Peter Lewis, the famous author of Growing Apart, Comparing Indonesia and Nigeria. In discussing this very critical issue which directly impacts the direction of a nation, I pointed out that the failure of a nation depends largely on its political leadership. Competent, capable, and compassionate political leadership with integrity will help nations to achieve sustainable growth and development. In my speech, I tried to assess three of our comparable nations, China, Vietnam, and Indonesia, from 1990 to date. In 1990, the year the measurement of the Human Development Index was started, these three comparable nations, including Nigeria, were all classified under the medium category of the AGI measurement. 35 years later, three of these nations have moved up to the high category of HDI, while Nigeria has fallen into the low category. Within the same period of 35 years, from 1990 to 2025, the GDP per capita of these comparable nations have all improved. As of 1990, while Nigeria had a GDP per capita of $556, China had $317, Indonesia had $578, and Vietnam had only $99. Nigeria obviously had higher GDP per capita than China, while Vietnam had less than 1/5 of Nigerians per capita. Today, Nigerians per capita is about 1/5 of Indonesia, $5,000, and Vietnam, $4,000 GDP per capita, and below 1/10 of China, 1,300 GDP per capita. In the area of poverty, Nigeria, with about 50 million poor people, had the least number of people in poverty in 1990 than any of the three countries, while China had about 750 million people living in poverty. Indonesia and Vietnam had 85 million and 60 million poor people respectively. China alone had about 15 times the number of poor people than Nigeria. Today, however, Nigeria has more poor people than these three countries combined. The question then is, what exactly did these countries do to be able to achieve the desired growth and development? That is where political leadership comes in. These comparable nations, and indeed other progressive nations, unlike Nigeria, have competent leadership with character, capacity, and compassion, committed to prioritizing investment in critical areas of developmental measures, education, health, and pulling people out of poverty. Now, this is what Mr. Peter Obi posted on his official X account. When you look at everything that Mr. Peter Obi said so far, these are facts, these are statistics. They are all available at the public domain. You are just one click away from Google to verify the information that Mr. Peter Obi posted. Yes, Nigeria was ahead of China, Vietnam, and Indonesia in the 90s. Nigeria's GDP per capita was higher than all of these countries. But today, these countries have all scaled up. They've left Nigeria behind, and they're all doing pretty well. Now, everything that Mr. Peter Obi stated is the fact, but rather than challenging the fact, rather than bringing facts to counter facts of Mr. Peter Obi, somebody that called himself a doctor, a PDP chieftain, who ought to be in the opposition, Segun Sowunmi, took to his official X account to call Mr. Peter Obi an Obioma politician. He simply led the attack on Mr. Peter Obi, saying Mr. Peter Obi is demarketing Nigeria. Let us look at what he said so far. He said, "With due respect, Peter Obi, these measurements are faulty, extremely skewed for those who manipulate these figures, have no metrics to measure the informal sector in Nigeria. You need to stop this, especially at international forums. You ought to place the burden on them and their crazy neoliberal policy and its deep state manipulations that put undue pressure on Africa. No one who wishes to lead a nation called Nigeria must be the demarketer on steroid of the same country he or she wishes to lead. Stop it immediately. Are those you wish to impress outside our country not aware of the multiplier effect of their destabilization of the Sahel and its unfortunate consequence on Nigeria? You need to cut the crap. If you read this line carefully, you would definitely understand that this line is coming from the APC WhatsApp group, because he did not challenge the fact. He did not challenge the statistics. Was Nigeria GDP higher than that of China, Indonesia, and Vietnam in the 1990s? The answer is yes. Was Nigeria having a better economy than India, China, Indonesia, and Vietnam in the 1980s? The answer is yes. Did Nigeria have low poverty rate in the 1990s compared to China, India, Indonesia? The answer is yes. What is the current statistics now? The current statistics is that Nigeria currently has more people living in poverty than China, Vietnam, and Indonesia. The current statistics is that these countries that were at the pecking order have all scaled up. They've left Nigeria behind. They now have a better GDP, a better economy compared to Nigeria. At the center of all of this is leadership. They were able to scale up because they scale up their leadership. They were able to scale up because they had competent leaders at the helm of affairs. They were able to scale up because they have passionate leaders. Leaders who were ready to sacrifice all to ensure that they move their country forward. Now, this is what is lacking in Nigeria. This is the message that Mr. P2B is trying to drive home. This same Segun Sowore that is saying that Mr. P2B is demarketing Nigeria is in the opposition. He's a PDP chieftain. At one point or the other, he has called out the incompetency of the APC regime. He has called out the incompetency of President Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He believed that the leadership in Nigeria is not up to par with other leadership in the world. He believed that the leadership in Nigeria is not doing the right thing to move the country forward. But here is Mr. Peter Obi, another opposition leader, calling out the bad leadership in this country, and he's being triggered. He said that Mr. P2B is demarketing Nigeria. It's only in Nigeria that demarketing has a different meaning, because to the best of my knowledge, Mr. P2B is just opening the eyes of everyone in Nigeria for them to understand the rot we are, because we are in a deep rot. Of course, we are in a deep rot. A country that has low poverty rate in the 90s, a country that has a better GDP than China, Indonesia, and Vietnam in the 90s, is the same country that has gone down the pecking order. The aforementioned countries are all doing pretty much than Nigeria. A country as of 2015 that has $500 billion economy is the same country that is having $199 billion economy. It is only natural disaster. It is only war that can destroy a country's economy from $500 billion to $199 billion. It is only a Great Depression that can cause a country to experience this level of economic decline. But fortunately for us, we did not experience any natural disaster. We are not experiencing any war. We've not experienced any Great Depression. But Nigeria economy is on a steady decline because of bad leadership. But yeah, we are not allowed to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you are demarketing the country. Recently, Mark Zuckerberg was in Nigeria and he was having an interview. In the midst of that interview, there was power interruption. NEPA took light and Mark Zuckerberg shouted, "This is Nigeria." Imagine a global investor like Mark Zuckerberg associating power outage to Nigeria. Imagine a global investor like Mark Zuckerberg associating negativity to Nigeria. Tell me how other investors would like to come into this country to invest. That is a great way to demarket your country. When you are scaring away investors from coming into your country to invest, you are demarketing your country. The people that are demarketing the country the more are the people at the helm of affairs. People who have refused to fix our power supply. At the core of every great economy is a stable power supply. Imagine in 2025, Nigerians are still begging their government to give them stable power supply. Investors will always go to a country with great power supply. They will not like to use their own resources to provide electricity. If they do that, they will transfer the final cost in producing a particular commodity to the price of that goods. That's the reason why the price of commodities in the market has skyrocketed ever since Bola Ahmed Tinubu became the president. The same politicians that have failed to fix security, to provide security, to build good roads, to make the country conducive are the ones that are scaring away investors. No investor will like to come into a country with unstable power supply, bad road and insecurity, weak economy, unstable government policies to invest their hard-earned money. Peter Obi is not demarketing Nigeria. Peter Obi is stating the obvious. The burial of Pope Francis attracted world leaders. At the venue, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, that is looking for the possible way to end the war between Ukraine and Russia, was able to meet with world leaders. He met with Donald Trump, he met with Emmanuel Macron, he met with Keir Starmer of UK. And they had discussion right at that event. Where was your president? Where was your vice president? They could not attend because of Muslim ticket. Who is demarketing Nigeria the more? A president that is running a Muslim ticket. He meet a golden opportunity to meet with world leaders, to connect with world leaders, to meet with Donald Trump, who is imposing tariff on every nation on the earth. That event would have provided him an opportunity to meet with him and discuss some diplomatic ties with the US. But no, he won't do it because he's running a Muslim ticket. Tell me who is demarketing Nigeria the more between Mr. Peter Obi and the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But people like Segun Sowunmi will not call him out because he is his tribe man. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.